I'm Matt Landau from vrmb.com, and this is Unlocked, Season 7, Unglamorous. This episode's brought to you by Point Central, the leaders in smart home automation, and Breezeway, a property care and operations platform. Rocio Lane is the CEO of Cleancio, vacation rental cleaning on demand. She's among the top subject matter experts in our industry. She started off with a problem like a lot of us, figuring out a consistent cleaning solution for her and her husband's vacation rental properties. But unlike a lot of us, that problem turned into an opportunity for Rocio as she went way down the housekeeping rabbit hole, peeling back the layers to find the true problem, and ultimately, she got to its core. The result? A deep and nuanced understanding of why housekeeping is so hard for vacation rental managers, and as we'll discuss today, the most efficient ways you can alleviate that pain. From hiring great housekeepers, to retaining them, to interacting with guests, to scraping poop off toilets, because that's what we do. Here's Rocio.
I was born and raised in Bolivia, and I moved to the States in 2009. And my plan, of course, was not staying. I ended up staying, marry here, and build up a career here. And I always had a passion for travel and tourism. Actually, that's what I went to school for back in Bolivia. Um, and I got a lot of experience on the real estate because I started working as a real estate agent here in Florida, actually. And right in 2015, 2016, Airbnb was one of those things that everyone was doing. A lot of people wanted to generate an extra income. And my friends, my husband started doing it. And we all kind of started doing Airbnb and listing our properties on Airbnb or other platforms just to make sure that we get some bookings and experiment, really.
And before we move into your full vacation rental stardom, you were kind of doing entrepreneurial stuff back as a kid, right? Because I was buying bubble gum at the local stationery shop, nice bubble gum,
Yes.
mind you, for 25 cents a piece. And I was selling it to my fellow students in middle school for 50 cents a piece and coming home with backpackfuls of money. Did you have an equivalent to that early days?
Oh yeah, I was always a little hustler. Being raised by my grandma and my mom, I always saw firsthand how like I understand the value of money and how everyone needs to work in the house and put their little chip in the house. And so yes, I always contribute exactly. So I started doing that at an early stage. I remember when I was 13, I started working for selling some Christmas cards.
Okay.
And all the company did was have a bunch of templates of Christmas notes, and they would just print them on normal printers.
And then you were selling them for them.
Yes, and I was selling them for them and got some commission out of that.
Okay. Who are you selling them to, out of curiosity?
Teachers, family, all the people in my mom's office.
So you were roving the offices selling stuff. Okay.
I was. But the funny thing about that is, I was doing sales, but I saw that there was nothing special of what they were doing. And I thought there is a better way to do things. So I decided to buy Christmas cards blank and start making my own designs and kind of like putting them in color and printed them. And everyone loved it.
And this was 13 years old.
Correct.
Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure that this goes way back.
It does.
This entrepreneurship, looking for opportunity, and I'd like to fast forward now back to Airbnb, is in your blood. So you're making money with your Airbnbs, and it's a thing. And then you eventually realize that there's one very difficult and, dare I say, unglamorous side of running an independent vacation rental business, and that is housekeeping. Was that more or less the obvious epiphany?
Yes. When back in the day when my friends, my husband, they were managing all the vacation rentals, and I kind of started taking over the housekeeping side of the business because one, I was bilingual, and a lot of the housekeepers speak Spanish,
Mm.
and I have more patience, and I have a little bit more, I don't know, attention to detail on how to present the units. And really, to be honest, housekeeping is one of those things that no one wants to do it. No one wants to talk about it. They just want it to be done.
Yeah, not to mention, no one definitely wants to sit down and really get to understand it and do it properly.
Break it down, yes.
Right.
Break it down and decompose every single component of the housekeeping, because
Right,
cleaning
right.
is very complex. And I have a huge respect for everyone that cleans properties professionally, or the hosts that do their own cleanings. It is a lot of work, and it is a lot of moving parts on that.
So almost everybody listening to this will have reached the moment that you just described when they're getting started with their business, or this may be a recurring thing, in which housekeeping is proving to be a very challenging thing to solve. And this is where you are slightly different from most people because you basically decided to create a company to address it.
Correct. And initially it was a solution for my own problem, because I was struggling with the current housekeepers that I hire or I contract. Back then, there were a lot of, there still are a lot of booking platforms where you can hire any housekeeper that claims that they know how to clean. And you bring it into your property. Sometimes they showed up, sometimes they don't, sometimes they clean well, sometimes they don't.
What are those platforms, just out of curiosity?
Well, I was using handy.com,
Okay.
which you can find a lot of housekeepers there, but really sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, with the quality of cleanliness they provide or the supplies that they use. And there is other clinic. I think I was using. Definitely, I was using Handy. I was using Molly Made and a few more.
And can you continue hiring the same housekeeper, or is it run by the platform itself?
You can just select and favorite the housekeeper, but it will
Okay,
depend on their schedule, because they get booked for other
got it.
clients. So it's not a guarantee that you will get that all the days that you want it. So you have to
Got it.
find another person.
And before we get into Cleancio talk, because I think the solution that you've developed is something that everybody could copy in some degree, I'd like to go through what were some of those unglamorous behind the scenes stuff that you were dealing with and that you've come to understand intimately over the last few years. And I'd like to start with just an overarching thing, like how, when we talked earlier about feeling like in vacation rentals, not everybody understands what we do. And when we get around vacation rental colleagues, you feel like you're in a support group.
Mm-hmm.
Housekeeping is even more so because it's even more nuanced, more niche. Give an idea to somebody who's not inside of the housekeeping world. What are these main challenges that happen between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
A lot of challenges. First of all, finding the person that is going to do the cleaning, it's a challenge. And training that person, or knowing that that person will deliver the unit in perfect conditions, that's a challenge. Making sure that person is going to be reliable and show to the cleaning every single time on time, it's a challenge itself. But in the other side, between once you arrive to the property, let's say the housekeeper is on site, one of the challenges is if the guest is checking out on time, or if the key is back inside the lockbox, or the keypad is working in the building. So, or if there is traffic before you get to the unit. There's a lot of moving parts. So if you arrive to the property and you walk into the property, and we are lucky when the guest checks out early, because sometimes you can get in earlier.
Shout out to Smart Lock company like Point Central there, because they get alerted the moment checkout takes place, right?
Love that. Love that. And it helps a lot, housekeepers, because we have the ability to start cleanings before and even deliver the rooms faster. So we can allow early check ins. So excellent solution, and I'm so pro um, technology and using these type of systems to walk in and press the code and walk into the property.
Before moving on, just to quickly elaborate on Point Central, smart locks are one of those upgrades to your business that once you make it, you can't imagine ever going back. It's like going from a beeper to a smartphone. And companies like Point Central are hands down the leaders in our space. Beyond just smart locks, features like smart thermostats, leak detectors, HVAC analytics, all centralized into your digital dashboard. It makes everybody's experience, from the guest to your hardworking team, better. You can do a demo at pointcentral.com/VRMB. And they're even now taking on property managers with less than 20 properties. This is a complete game changer. Okay, let's get back to the show. There are the moments in which these housekeepers literally come in contact with a guest, which in many cases is the only actual member of the vacation rental team that's coming in contact with the guest, right?
You have no idea. We interact with guests more than anyone, I think, because we are sometimes the last person they see before before they check in, and the first person once they are checking out, because we are in the property for the checkout time and prior to the check-in time. And yes, sometimes guests are not checking out on time, and we have to knock the door, announce ourselves, and see if we can walk in and start the cleaning. And if the guest is not checking out on time, that's a challenge, because we don't know if the guest is still showering, having breakfast, or in some cases they are still partying and drinking and dancing inside. So, and they haven't even packed. So that will delay the cleaning.
And is that training, by the way, that must go into equipping your housekeeper with basically customer service stuff on how to present that information? And I feel like most people don't even do that.
Yes, because one of the things that it will be huge for you and your team, and especially your housekeeping team, to know is understand every moving part of the delivering a unit. And yes, customer service has a lot to do, because if they are the first person that they are interacting with the guests, they need to understand how to greet the guests and how to talk to the guests. We don't really have conversations with them, but you need to offer customer service, because if the guest is checking out late, the housekeeper can't say like, "Hey, are you still here?" and start yelling at them, because it will be bad for the guest experience. Or I don't know, walking into the property while the guest is still there, because that will be unsafe for the housekeeper. So there's a lot of training that has to go for those type of scenarios.
And I remember at my vacation rental business, one of our head housekeepers, Deira, um, she would have this moment in which she walks in on the guest who hasn't departed on time. And she would half jokingly, half seriously say to me, "This was not part of my job description." Like, dealing with these sometimes crazy people and having to interpret their, intent and not tarnish the reputation of our vacation rental business. This is hard stuff. And she was so right.
Yes. Oh, if we list all the things housekeepers have to do on the job description, no one will apply.
That's
No
right.
one will apply. There's so many things, from light bulbs, switches, AC, hot water. It's more than cleaning. And I think that's one of the things that is changing on the industry, is that housekeepers are really becoming very professional on cleaning vacation rentals, and understanding that it's more than just cleaning. They have to offer customer service and do things that not necessarily are just cleaning.
And do you have any sort of advice for people who are dealing with that late checkout, refuse to check out instance from a safety perspective?
I think the main advice is be prepared. I think because we can't avoid guests checking out late, we can't avoid guests partying and having fun inside the apartment, because that's what they are there for, and they're having fun, and they're on their vacation, or doing uh, their whatever they want to do. I think what you need to do is be prepared for those scenarios. Have those conversations with your housekeeping team, with your maintenance team, or whoever is helping you to deliver those rooms clean or guest ready. Um, have those conversations, talk about those things, and we always like to, especially with at Cleancio, we try to advise and train them on those things. What if blank? What if the guest is checking out late? So training them to evaluate a little bit, because when you open the door, you get a glance of how the unit looks like and what the guests are doing. So if you see the guest that is just picking up their bags, you know that they might be ready, they might be leaving in 15 minutes. But if the guests are still dancing and drinking and
Right.
all their clothes are all over the place, doing drugs and
Doing drugs.
sometimes not even wearing clothes, you want to make sure that, oh, okay, so this guest is not going to check out in the next hour. So what do we do on those type of scenarios? Because one of the things a lot of people or hosts and including guests don't understand, that if you check out late without authorization, it can delay the second cleaning or the third cleaning of that housekeeper. And then you have a guest checking in on the same day. So there is a lot of tension that happens between 11 and 4 p.m. because a housekeeper, let's say, is assigned to 2 or 3 rooms and all of them have a guest checking in 2 days. So we really don't have any time to waste, because we want to make sure to clean it fast, to clean it well, and have it ready for the next guest that is checking in at 4 p.m. Um, so yeah, my main advice is be prepared for those things. That what if the guest is still inside? What if the lockbox is not working? And train your team to understand how to act on those type of scenarios, because we can't avoid those things from happening, but we can prepare for those.
Lock boxes are another ones that just like almost present more risk and costs than they do reward, right?
Oh my gosh. Back in the day when Cleanse started, everything was lock boxes. Um, I remember my office wall, meaning my garage, um, was covered with keys on the wall because we have backup keys for the lock boxes. And I still see it today. I still
You're
see
like
lock
traumatized.
boxes, even though there is awesome technology out there. Yeah, I because there's so many things that can go wrong with lockboxes. One, if you're using one lockbox for your guest and for your housekeeping team, and if the guest forgets to put the key back inside the lockbox,
Correct.
guess what? Your housekeeper can't get in the apartment, and they are delayed, and then you have to send or mail, do something so they get a key to walk in.
Give me another instance.
If you don't change the codes on the lockbox, and this is a huge one, safety too, also to be prepared is a big one. If you don't change the codes, the access codes for your unit often, you can risk a lot of your team, your property, and your guests, because you're not changing them often. Because I've seen it a few times where, especially guests that stay locally, they have that code, they're walking around the neighborhood, and they try the code that they have in that property, and all of a sudden it does work, and they walk into their unit, and then they take things that they don't belong to them. So that's very scary.
So scary.
It happened to us a few times where we are cleaning, the door is locked, and the previous guest puts the code in and they walk into the unit. So I love systems that allow to change the codes every single time that a guest checks out. And sometimes there is a special code for housekeepers, because it's keeping your property, your guests, and your housekeeping team, in general, your team safe. And lock boxes, a lot of things can happen with lock boxes. For example, Chicago in the winter time, you have to housekeepers have to walk with defreezers
Oh my God.
to defreeze the lockbox and open the box and get the key, because they get stuck or they are completely frozen. Um, so yeah, I'm very pro technology and using digital locks.
When you're walking to dinner with your husband and you see like just a random lockbox on the side of the road, are you like suddenly traumatized?
I am. Or if I'm onboarding a new client and they mention lockbox, I'm like, no, Yes.
So is the way that you explain that to new clients, is the way that you explain that from a financial standpoint and a safety standpoint? Because I feel like people aren't able to really grasp the cost of time being wasted and potential risks that don't ever actually manifest into emergencies.
I explained both. I explained that it's easier for everyone if there is a digital lock system versus a lockbox, because in the long term, based on my experience, that we did a lot of cleanings, it's just a numbers game. It will happen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be the person that this happened, but
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure that you stay safe and you avoid those things from happening. And one of them will be replacing those lock boxes, because in the long term, you will be very thankful that you did change that and put that lockbox away and dig a hole in the floor and just hide it there. Because yes, I know it's the price difference is much bigger, especially let's say you have 50 units and you have to invest on the locks, but in the long run, for your property safety, for your guest safety and your team safety, it's much better to have those systems in place. Yes.
Game changer. Yeah. Um, Rosia, I remember one of the nights that we were out and ended up huddling in a corner talking about vacation rentals while our friends and family were having fun was about cleaning fees. And cleaning fees is not a sexy topic to make headlines in our industry or really any travel space. But it is real and it is challenging. So share your overarching thoughts on cleaning fees. Like, are they potentially are they changing, and what do you see them? How do you see them changing, if so?
If I go back 6 years ago, a lot of the fees I paid as a host, where I paid residential cleaning fees plus add-ons. If I wanted them to clean inside of the refrigerator, was another $10, or if I want them to clean inside of the microwave, was another 10. So before you know it, you end up paying more for your cleaning that you are getting from the actual reservation. The cleaning fees have changed a lot. And especially now, after the coronavirus, the guest expectations are much higher. And of course, the demand on your housekeeping team is much higher. And I've seen a lot of cleaning fees that are going up, but I always say like it's a battle between the service provider and the client, because of course the client is going to want to get all the things on their checklist for as little money as they can possibly get, and you as a service provider, you want to get provide a service that you will generate some revenue. So there's a constant battle trying to push. Of course, client wants to push the prices always lower, and you want to sometimes raise the prices or at least maintain them in the same way.
And that, by the way, applies to both housekeeping professionals and vacation rental managers and their guests. It's the exact same push pull.
Exactly. Yes. And you don't want to be charging too much, because then the guest is not going to want to stay in the apartment. So it's basically
Right.
the market is pushing the prices a little bit higher. And of course, the expectations are much higher now. The expectations of the guest and the host too, because now you don't only have to complete a cleaning, you have to disinfect no matter what, because we want to make sure that the unit is fully disinfected. One of the things that I seen prices, cleaning rates are going up, but not necessarily the compensation for service providers. I've seen a lot of clients, because they're trying to recover from the loss that we had last year. They're trying to uh, charge higher for their cleanings, but they want to take a percentage, because before, pretty much the majority of the clients will have the cleaning fee will go straight to the housekeeper and cost about linens and toilet paper and things like that.
So in this instance, they're thinking about charging more than they were and keeping the difference.
Correct.
And how do we feel about that?
I think if you are demanding that your housekeeper does more, and their job will be a little bit more putting into consideration right now that there is labor shortage, especially for house for cleaning companies. There is a lot of, like, in the whole industry, there's a lot of labor shortage. A lot of cleaning supplies and disinfection supplies have gone up the roof. A lot of PPP is very, very expensive. Just to give you an example, I used to buy a box of gloves for, I don't know, 450 of a box of 100 gloves, and now they are between 11 to $15. So a lot of the material and the supplies that housekeepers use have their cost has gone up. So it would be fair to, yes, require a little bit more of cleaning or have higher expectations and pay your housekeeping team or your housekeeper fairly according to your demands and now the guest demands. There are other ways that you can generate an extra revenue with cleaning. You can offer additional disinfection, and you can charge for that. And you can do a lot of other things to generate more revenue.
What else, out of curiosity? Would you mind listing another thing or two?
I don't see it often, but you can charge for late checkouts if a guest wants to check out late.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you don't have a guest checking in the same day, you can charge just, I don't know, a certain amount of money so they can check out late. So you can make profit out of late checkouts. You can also make profit out of early check-ins. If they want to check in a little earlier, you can offer additional disinfections in their room. Let's say if I'm allergic and I really worry and I want to make sure that, I know some hotels are doing it, that they add a special,
Yeah.
an additional disinfection in the room, and they can use machines, they can use they use different equipment to ensure that the unit is completely germ free.
Love it.
And have that conversation with your housekeeping team or your housekeeper. Hey, our cost of adding this other service is going to be this amount. What if we charge this? And that helped me, that this money helps me and as a host, and helps you to, of course, add an additional service.
So I'd like to segue into the team and the human capital that really makes this department of this most interesting sector tick. And you're someone who has a very unique perspective on this, because you were trying to find and hire people as a individual property manager, and now you're kind of doing it professionally. And again, listeners, I promise we will get into what Cleancio is in a moment. But what have been your big lessons, things that you'd share with other owners and managers about cracking this nut?
Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. We decided to change things from the inside out. And one of the things that I realized right at the beginning was that if I have contractors, I don't have control of the quality, the cleaning supplies, or the procedures, or even the standards that they deliver. I also didn't have time or control of the schedules, because if I have a contractor and that person is not available because she has other clients, I can't book her on the dates that I want her. So the solution for that was to hire all my housekeepers in-house. But not only that, but train them to follow one standard and to clean every property in the same way over and over again. And providing the training, it was extremely crucial. And not only training them how to make beds and fold towels and properly disinfect a toilet, but training them on those things that we already talked about: customer service. What if the lockbox doesn't work? Or what if the guest is still in there? Or how do I report things inside the apartment that are not functioning correctly, so the guest checks into a unit that it functions correctly? And the major thing that make a huge impact for us was making sure your team understands why. Because a lot of the things that I see on our industry or even the hotel industry is that each department is very separate. You have your maintenance, housekeeping, sales, guests,
Right.
reservations, front of the house. They are all doing their jobs, but you don't integrate them. What we did is even though that we are just housekeeping, we want to make sure every single housekeeper understands why we're cleaning, why we need to report if a light bulb is not working, why we need to make sure the unit is ready at 4 p.m. And only then we can make them part of the guest experience. If the housekeepers really understand and walk into the guest shoes and really know why they are cleaning and understand the guest journey from the beginning, they will be much more, they will feel more part of the organization, and they will be part, and they are part of much, something much greater than just making a bed and folding a towel.
So I'm envisioning myself sitting there in your first training session, and you're saying, you know why we're doing this? Do you know why we're doing this? And I'm not sure I would know the answer. So, what is the why?
Exactly. You make sure that everyone knows the why. And the why is we always do this exercise and we make everyone close their eyes and wear a guest shoes. We all travel, even locally, we go travel. And the guest journey doesn't start at the moment they check in. The guest journey starts in the moment they make the decision to travel. Then they choose a destination, book their new home, take a flight or any transportation they're taking to get there, go through multiple challenges through their journey before they check in. They have heavy bags, they miss the taxi, there's kids crying, it's raining, it's heavy, all the things that they go through. We go through all of that exercise until the time they check in or open that door and they smell clean and the unit looks sparkling clean and it looks really inviting and the bed looks amazing and it's very bright and welcoming. And that moment when you drop your bags, your vacation mode button goes on and you forget everything about what you went through, and then you start having a good time and you have an amazing guest experience.
I think this is such a powerful way to combat the unglamorous activities of our industry by reminding ourselves what the final product is, and more specifically, how people feel when we do our jobs well. No matter how gritty any given task may be, this reminder that you're curating a life moment is, however cheesy it may sound, priceless. Not many professionals in this world have that kind of impact on their customers' lives. So much of that does go underappreciated. So much of that does happen behind the scenes, that if the team member is not fully aware of the final product, which is, by the way, a super powerful product, changing a family's life for the week, if not creating a memory forever, if they don't know what that end product is, I think it becomes very easy to just get into kind of machine mode and not understand why I have to go and fix that light bulb immediately.
Exactly. And not only that they understand why, they also have built a community and they know that their job has a direct impact on the guest experience. It's not that they're just going clean and that's it and no one sees that work. Uh, so no, they know, and I tell everyone in my company, we are a part of the guest experience because we put this other scenario. Imagine that you went through all of this guest journey and you have multiple struggles and you're tired and all you want to do is just check in, and you open the door and the doorknob is dirty and the unit smells funky and the bed is it doesn't look its best, and then you try to shower and there is hair in the shower. It happens the opposite. So if you understand the opposite,
It's accentuated the opposite, exactly.
you're going to be upset because you're going to think, I went through all of this to check into this room that is doesn't look its best, and it will happen the opposite. So you will be angry, you will have complaints, you will complain, you're not going to have a good time, and you're going to also be hesitant to what if the other parts of the apartment are also dirty. So it ruins the entire experience. So it can happen. You have housekeeping team and everyone really, like you mentioned, like everyone that is part of creating this sausage, it's a crucial part for every single component: light bulbs, switches, AC, Wi-Fi, furniture. We all are part of that because the guest at the end of the day doesn't really care is housekeeping's fault or is maintenance fault or I don't know, it's management's fault. All they care is about checking in a property or in a unit or a room that fits their standards and they don't have to worry about anything.
One of my favorite VRMB community members, Todd Doyle in Orcas Island, he introduced a wonderful technique in which he prints out all the reviews and he highlights anytime the word clean has been mentioned. And that gets, I think, a $10 bill. And then he also highlights in a different color anytime an adjective is used next to that word. And that's an additional $20. And he gives just these pages worth of reviews and extra dollar bills paperclip to the pages. He gives them to his housekeepers on a regular basis to remind them what they are part of. Do you have any other kind of either incentive or dare I say retention, which is a word that I hate, but keeping great team members? Do you have any advice on how to do that?
Kudos to Todd. I love that. I love it. Love it. Yes. So that's the next part for building a team. They need to have a sense of belonging and that their work has a huge impact, but they also need to see how is that impact going through. And feedback and reviews are amazing. I always call the reviews love letters, and we share it with our housekeeping team. And
I love
because
that.
yeah, and I love guests. If any guests are listening here or other people that travel, do write on napkins that how much you love the apartment
Mm-hmm.
because we do see it.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, the housekeepers keep those in their pocket.
Another poignant tip to offset any unglamorous work or calling is sharing some words of affirmation when the job's been done well. Reviews are nice, sure, but what about a little note on a napkin? Recognition costs us nothing more than a few minutes, but it means so much to those who often go unrecognized. I know I'm going to take this tip with me on my travels from now on.
I have those love letters in my wall because it is a reminder why we do what we do every day. Why? Because we want to deliver that smile. So, yes, your team needs to know not only housekeeping, they need to know what is the impact that they are receiving, like they are doing every day. Um, Feedback is important. Giving them that telling them that how their cleanings have improved over the last month or 2 months. We internally have multiple programs where we make sure that we have quality controls on all our units, and each unit is assigned a score. So based on the scores, housekeepers again have the opportunity to get bonuses for performance.
How do they determine the score based on the reviews?
We have both. We have based on reviews and based on the inspection that we perform on the units because we have supervisors
Okay.
that are housekeepers. We take all the housekeepers and we try to keep them on the team. We don't want them to worry that if they're going to have a job as soon as the high season ends. We want to keep them and we want to make sure that they understand that they don't have to worry about that. They have to worry about doing their best and continue growing with us. So building programs where they can grow with you because one of your housekeeping team members might become one of your superstars for guest relationships. You don't know. You don't
Mm-hmm.
see. You are not going to know those talents that you have hidden in your team if you don't look for them and you don't empower them to grow or learn or train them to do those things. So having those conversations, having one-on-one conversations, sometimes you don't really have any complaints, but you want to tell them how amazing their cleanings are or how they improve their times that they complete the cleanings, and just have those conversations with them, build that sense of community with them, have programs to give them bonuses, or give them a gift card, or in some cases, if you have multiple properties in one building and you have a large team, you can create a board and say like, hey, the person that gets the best reviews gets, I don't know, a gift card for the movies, or we're going to have, if the scores of the entire team it goes up 5%, we're going to have pizza night. Or you can create a lot of things to motivate your team and to make sure that they also see those reviews, because reviews are very important, not only for improving your service and your product, but also to reward them, and so they can clearly see that every cleaning that they do does have an impact and it does get a review.
I want to just ask you how you recommend people sort of find or screen for great housekeeping, because you mentioned a couple sites where they can look, but where, if those sites are being unpredictable, else can somebody turn?
I strongly encourage to look for, first check other people that you know around you, if they know a local housekeeper that does cleanings and specializes in these areas. I remember back in the day, um, we used to share one housekeeper with my friends. We used to share one housekeeper in a specific area, because one, she lived very close to the properties and she was able to clean for all of us. So maybe for hosts that have only one property, maybe share one housekeeper with the other hosts in the area, so that way you can have a little bit more control on the schedule, and she stays in the same neighborhood without having to go elsewhere. Checking online and reviews is very important. And leaving reviews for housekeepers too is very important. If you are very satisfied with the housekeeper, let other people know. Refer your housekeeper, and there's multiple sites where you can find, especially now there's a lot of sites where you can book a housekeeper that only does vacation rentals in your area.
Let's now go back to your Airbnb challenge crossroads, in which you want to continue pursuing this craft, the vacation rental niche, but the housekeeping thing that was a problem is now starting to present something of an opportunity to you. And the way I first heard you describe Cleancio upon founding it was vacation rental cleanings on demand. And for anybody who doesn't get that very straightforward motto, can you explain to them what the company looks like?
Cleancio is a vacation rental cleaning and now schedule automation software company on demand. Um, and why on demand? Because vacation rentals and guest reservations never stop. And you might have a last minute reservation coming in and you want to make sure that unit is clean before your guest checks in. So that's one of the why we decided to be on demand, because we work 365 days a year, and we always need to be ready for all the changes on the reservations, because a lot of things happen with reservations. The reservations can get extended, that affects the cleaning. If a reservation gets canceled, that affects cleaning. Or if there is a last minute booking, that affects the cleaning. Or if a cleaning becomes check-in the same day, affects the cleaning too, and affects your cleaning team as well. So Cleancio was initially born after a problem. I would say a solution to my problem, because I would struggle with all those things, all the things that hosts go through. If your housekeeper cancels and you're working, you have to kind of try to leave work earlier, or on your lunch break, run to your apartment and start cleaning yourself, and you don't do a good job, and then the guest complains because you didn't clean well enough, and you can get a bad review, or you have a cancellation from your guests. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're doing it yourself and trying to handle other things and have a full-time job. Cleanse was a solution to that. And the other problem that we faced right at the beginning was consistency and keeping the standards. Consistency, I think, is still one of the biggest problems that a lot of hosts and property managers face on a daily basis, and having control of the cleaning supplies and procedures that the housekeepers have. Um, and the only way to solve that is to hire them internally in house, train them, and have control of the cleaning supplies and processes that they use to clean the properties.
And you're currently in Miami and Chicago, correct?
Correct.
Our conversations normally turn towards how you realized and then jumped on the fact that technology could solve a lot of these challenges. And we've joked that you're building a technology company. Explain how that tech fits, how you explain that change for those who are not currently using technology in their cleaning solutions.
We started as a cleaning company, and one of the things that technology has helped us in the past few years is that we can automate a lot of things, and you can get back your time, and you really can focus on your business. Um, Especially back then, I used to text my housekeeper, and I know a lot of your listeners still do that and send text messages to the housekeeper and send emails to the housekeeper with the calendars and changes on the reservation. That is just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion, because housekeepers sometimes are driving or carrying vacuums and they are on their phone. A lot of housekeepers are not tech savvy, and they will not be on the email or replying every single text message because their hands are busy. Um, so to schedule your teams, especially as you grow, that becomes more challenging. You can't be texting 5, 10 people at 11 a.m. at the same time to tell them to set up the temperature at 72 degrees. It will be it's a lot of work, and you will end up the entire day you will end up spending 2 or 3 hours with housekeeping, coordination, monitoring, and scheduling, and then your day is gone and you're not focusing on really things that can move your business forward.
And their day is too, their specialty, their craft is lost too because they're busy trying to find that text message that you sent them yesterday.
And then you said that, I didn't say that. It's just a recipe for disaster. I talk about my own experience. It gets very messy very quickly, and it makes the housekeeper's life more complicated. And there's a lot of stress that goes between 11 and 4 p.m. And on top of that, you have to deal with this type of things, text messaging and emails. It's not a good way to run your business.
I often like to help people understand the power of efficiency of using technology is thinking of it like we understand data rates, internet speeds. The speed with which you can download something means you're going to be more efficient or productive or entertained or whatever it is you're doing to download. It's the same thing with communication amongst your team. If you're quick and clear with that process, you're much more efficient, and vice versa, right?
Absolutely, yes. Um, and sometimes there is information you don't have to copy and paste. You can just say it once across all your teams once. So what we did is we right at the beginning we used a lot of Google Calendar, Google Docs, and spreadsheets. And one of the challenges we had is that a lot of housekeepers, they know how to clean, but in some cases, they don't know how to use spreadsheets or Google Docs or Google Calendar. It is a different, and they're not used to working with their phones. That's another thing that is started changing a while back. They are not really used to taking photos of every single thing they see and taking photos after the work. So there is a lot of changes that have to be done internally, also to re-educate housekeepers on how now the work it's evolving and it's becoming a little bit easier thanks to technology. um, they can see their calendars. Imagine if I'm a housekeeper, I can know exactly where I need to be every day of the week because I have this app and I can see all my assignments in one place.
So a lot of people that are listening and are exactly in those shoes, they turn their attention to, okay, what is the solution that I'm going to pick in order to tech power my housekeeping department? And the other sponsor of this episode is Breezeway, which is a property care and operations platform. And I'll take this chance to quickly point out how cool it's been to watch Breezeway's ascent in the industry over the last 5 years. They spotted this challenge of task management among housekeeping and maintenance before most people did. And then they created a tool that is raved about by every vacation rental manager who uses them. There is literally no other company that gets organic shout outs from raving fans in our interviews than Breezeway. And for unlocked listeners who want to do a demo, they're waiving the implementation fee. That's $1,000 saved when you head over to breezeway.io/VRMB. You, Rocio, decided to basically build your own solution, which I'm curious is how that decision crossroads was made.
It was the same approach as the cleaning company. It was a solution to our own problem. We needed a system that we can schedule and monitor the cleanings with our housekeeping team and also communicate with our clients and have everything in one place. And we really didn't have a place, really a system that can really fit we and will be enough friendly enough for the housekeepers to understand and easy enough for the clients to use it. So, and a lot of things, and I think one of the different approach that Cleancio offers is that you can have everything in one place. You can get the software, the scheduling software, and the cleaning services all in one. We bundle both of the things that really make your job as a host or property manager easier. So we created a mobile app for our housekeeping team. It's super easy to use.
And wait, did you just go to a developer and said, "Excuse me, I'd like you to build this for me"?
Yes, and it sounds so easy, and now it's funny to say that, but especially when I don't have any background and I don't even know how to write a line of code. Building and developing this is quite challenging and quite crazy. A lot of people told me, "Why don't you just use a system and just why would you
Put yourself through
do?"
this.
Yeah, why are you putting yourself through this? But there were a lot of functionalities I want to implement in our systems. And I just start seeing the future. I think the future is it's much easier for the user to have the software and the service so they don't have to go and shop around for the software or train new housekeepers how to use that software. We offer all in one place. Clients have the ability to just sync their calendars. They can monitor the cleanings and see the photos if they like from the comfort of their home, but they don't have to worry about finding housekeepers, checking if the housekeeper does a good job or not, because we take care of all of that. They don't have to worry about hiring housekeepers or doing really much. You can really put your housekeeping operations on autopilot because we take care of everything.
And when you're an independent property owner or manager, and you're likely working a full-time job on the side, and this is new and exciting and profitable, housekeeping is just an area that you can't afford to skimp. And if there is a premium turnkey solution out there for you, that's a pretty good one to choose. So you're currently in between Miami and Chicago, doing how many properties?
Prior COVID, we were about to hit our 400 properties, but now things have changed because a lot of our clients went out of business. It was very sad to see a lot of clients, but we see now a boom of a lot of hosts and managers are starting to get back into business and activate their properties, and we're starting to see those numbers going up. And we plan to open more cities, which is going to be definitely good for our company.
When I first mentioned to Sarah Bradford that theme of this season was going to be unglamorous. She said that it should be titled Vacation Rentals. We scrape poop off toilets.
I love that.
Which is about as unsexy and unglamorous as one could get. But of course, we couldn't fit that on the album cover. It would be a little bit too long. Do you have any final advice for owners and managers who are listening and thinking to themselves, this housekeeping challenge for me is going to potentially sink my business?
Yeah, of course. First of all, don't see it as a challenge. See it as an opportunity to make a difference on your organization, whether you have one property or 10 or 20. It is an opportunity to change things from the inside out. And I always applaud people like Todd that really value their housekeeping team, and other companies that really put a lot of effort on building a community and integrating all the departments to really explain why we do everything what we do, and take housekeeping as an opportunity to provide a better experience for your guests. Housekeeping is your friend. Whether you're a host, a property manager, or even a guest, housekeepers are your friends, and you want to build a good relationship with your friends and have those conversations about feedback, expectations, time, delivery, customer service, and be prepared because you don't want to be facing those scenarios that if a guest is still partying in the apartment and they invite your housekeeper inside to start cleaning, you need to have systems in place that you can know and tell your teams before it happens, and just to be prepared or be safe. Housekeepers and housekeeping is your friend.
Housekeeping is your friend. What a powerful idea to end on. My big takeaway from this interview is that some challenges in our businesses require turning things inside out. As Rocio says, for some challenges, it helps to literally invert the conventional terms or roles or routine, building an entirely new model starting at its very core. And that for any of these challenges, it helps to have one big magnetic north, one big why that everyone in your organization can look up to and work towards. If you'd like to connect with Rocio, you can email her at contactus@Cleancio, that's CLEANCIO.com. She manages that account herself. And after the interview, Rocio shared with me a really special resource, How to Clean Like Cleancio, an actual checklist that she gives her housekeepers. I've included that in the show notes, and you can download them both at vrmb.com/109. Lastly, if you'd like to join people like Rocio and Todd Doyle and so many of our other guests in VRMB communities, check out vrmb.com/pod. We've made a special landing page for you. Until next time.